Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Good Jobs, Good Business overview webinar to learn more about our Good Jobs Advisor cohort. We're going to wait 1 to 2 minutes to let folks who are dialing in right now or perhaps running a few minutes late join us before we get started. So just hang tight and we'll get started in a couple of minutes here. Great. So thank you all so much for joining us today to learn more about our Good Jobs Advisor cohort. We'll go ahead and get started, but no worries if you're dialing in a couple minutes late. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Happy April to everyone here. We hope everyone is staying healthy and safe and well amidst our ever-changing global environment. Today, we'd like to walk you through an overview of our Good Jobs Advisor program. Our Good Jobs Advisor cohort supports small business owners in implementing our Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit. So we're excited to share more with you about our program today, what the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit is, and some specifics on a partnership that we have with the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund. Before we get started today, we'd like to once again give you a warm welcome and thank you for stepping up to be here today through a remote volunteering opportunity, which is even better suited to the times that we're in today. We'd also like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. So I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Christy Henrik, and I'm a project manager on Pacific Community Venture, PCV's research and consulting team, the team behind the creation of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit and its implementation with small business owners across the country. I'm excited to walk you through the toolkit and our program today, and I'll always be available as a resource to answer any questions you may have. I'd like to turn it over now to my colleague, Daniel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Wada, and I'm a client relations manager on PCV's business advising team. Business advising strives to match our business owners with a pro bono advisor that has the most fitting skills and experience to help their business owners create solutions towards their business challenges. And keep in mind, as you go through this journey of being a Good Jobs Advisor, PCV is here to support, and my role is to provide ongoing support for both advisors and small business owners to ensure that satisfaction levels are high and progress is being made.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Now we'll pause for a brief moment of housekeeping before we kick things off. So I'm sure that many folks on the phone today are continuing to become experts in virtual collaboration tools like Zoom. If you have questions throughout today's program, please type them into the Q&A box that you see here. We'll have a few pre-programmed breaks where we'll take questions and respond to them to try to keep today's presentation as interactive as possible. but we'd encourage you to continue inputting your questions throughout the presentation so that we can try to answer them as real time as possible. All attendees are currently muted, so you don't have to worry about any background noise or whatever's going on around you as well. Great. So before we dive into today's agenda and the content of the webinar, we'd like to take a few minutes to acknowledge global affairs and how this will be impacting the program that we had initially structured for you to engage with. So as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic is a public health emergency as well as an economic crisis, hitting our most vulnerable populations the hardest. At PCV, we're keenly aware of the fact that businesses and small businesses are closing for weeks at a time, and those who aren't are seeing major hits to their bottom line. It's hitting businesses and it's hurting workers who most rely on their paychecks. 40% of Americans who work service industry related jobs have no paid sick leave, and fewer than 25% of them can afford to take it, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are also the jobs like retail, housekeeping, food, and entertainment that are most likely to put those workers in broad contact with others. So protecting employee health is not only important for these businesses long term, but for community health now. We also recognize that small business owners are now more than ever trying to balance competing demands. They're managing their cash flow and their finances. They're shifting operations to comply with things like takeout only or online ordering, and they're taking care of employee health and well-being. It's never been more important to partner with them as a trusted mentor and to support them through this crisis and be there as a business advisor. With that in mind, as we go through today's programming, we want to share that we recognize that specific milestones, in quotes, related to good jobs, good business that we've laid out may shift as you and your small business owner navigate what's directly in front of you. And we'll be there to support you throughout this process. We'll provide you with resources related to both good jobs and COVID-19 resilience to support your small business owner as they confront shifting realities. We want to thank you once again for being here today in support of the small business community. We're very grateful to have you. So just to quickly go over what we're going to touch upon today, we have 5 main topics that you'll see right here in front of you. We're first going to cover an overview of specific community ventures and how we became interested in this topic of job quality. Next, we'll tell you about the history of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit and show you a demo of the website. Then we'll walk you through the Good Jobs Advisor cohort and what it means to sign up to be a business advisor. Following this, we'll tell you about our partnership with JP Morgan Chase's Entrepreneurs of Color Fund specifically. And then finally, we'll tell you how to sign up to join us as a small business advisor through this partnership to support good jobs, employee health and well-being, and small business owner COVID-19 resilience. So for a brief background on Pacific Community Ventures, we are a nonprofit community development finance institution, or CDFI, as you'll hear me use this acronym throughout today's presentation, providing our capital to low to moderate income communities. We provide loans to small business owners in the state of California. We have a national pro bono business advising program, what you're here to be learning more about today in a specific iteration of it. And we have a research and consulting team. Through our Good Jobs agenda, we seek to help small business owners and the organizations that support them strengthen the quality of the jobs that they provide for themselves and their employees while boosting their bottom line. As you may know, the U.S. has seen historically low unemployment in the past several years, a figure that is rapidly changing as a result of COVID-19. Business in the U.S. is also overwhelmingly small, and small businesses are an incredible engine of job creation in the U.S. I also want to note that we will be sharing these slides with you after today's presentation. So if you're interested in the statistics or the sources, you don't have to worry about jotting any of them down. We'll share them with you and you can have them for your own notes. Over the years, as PCV was examining trends of income inequality, job creation, business growth, and small businesses' role in this, as we provide loans to small businesses and support them through our business advising program, we saw the potential for small businesses to be better equipped with tools, resources, and the investment to be empowered as leaders in creating higher quality jobs for themselves and their employees. This goal is still important, even as realities have shifted with COVID-19. In fact, a survey conducted in the past week in partnership with the SBDC, or Small Business Development Center, a partner of the Small Business Administration, highlights some of the impacts of COVID-19 on small businesses. For example, over 50% have already reduced employee hours and cited decreases in demand for products and services. We seek to support small business owners through this crisis while helping them maintain employee health and well-being. And this is a thread we'll carry through today's conversation, and we hope for you to carry through your partnership with your small business owner. To continue with a bit of background on our work with job quality and the resources we created, our observations on the state of the economy and its impact on small businesses and their employees led us to work on a specific resource for them called the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit. Based on desk and field research, including interviews with small business owners and their employees, PCV created the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit to provide small business owners with a practical how-to resource to take the guesswork out of improving the quality of jobs offered at their business for their employees. We built the resource using feedback from our research to compile a toolkit that provides things like step-by-step guides for improving job quality in different focus areas, such as implementing retirement benefits or improving training opportunities. It includes tools and benchmarks, and it includes success stories and case studies. The document is built with the underlying messaging and structure to show small business owners that providing good jobs is not only good for their employees, but it's also good for their business or their bottom line. And finally, as you all know from being here today, business advisors are a critical support system, providing guidance, expertise, and your own experience as small business owners implement the toolkit. As we mentioned on the previous slide, the toolkit is structured around 6 key areas, from benefits like health and retirement to subjects like employee engagement. And as you'll see during a demo where we'll walk you through the website today, each section contains how-to and step-by-step guides, case studies and success stories, tools and benchmarks from several different sources to provide business owners with a comprehensive set of resources. We're going to take a quick pause here to see if there are any questions up to this point in the presentation, because we know we're sharing a lot of content with you. We want to make sure that we can be reactive to questions as they come in. So if you have questions at this time, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box, and we can take a moment to answer them now. Just pause for another 30 seconds or so here. Okay, if there are no questions at this time, great. So next then, oh, sorry, it looks like one actually just popped up. Excellent question. So the question coming in is about issues with potentially owners' time allocation. So I believe that this question is sort of speaking to, sort of business owner bandwidth to work on the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit and structuring the mentorship engagement. And this is a topic that we'll actually speak about in more detail later on in the presentation. But one thing that we leave it to you and your business owner to determine is the cadence and the timing, during which you'll speak. So for example, will you set up monthly meetings and how much time will you two devote sort of each working on your different aspects that you'll be working on related to the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit. When business owners sign up to participate in this structured program, we do ask that they plan to dedicate a certain number of hours. And as you may be able to see, and some things might become clearer as we walk through the different components of the demo, many of these items can be things that they're already actively working on. It's just about potentially honing different areas or putting a structure around it. So for example, if a business owner was planning to hire some employees and they wanted to develop a training plan, this was something that they may have already been planning to allocate time to do, but they wanted to be able to develop a structured training plan that they would be able to use with future employees. And they wanted to work with a business advisor to use suggestions from the toolkit as well as the business advisor's experience and figure out how they would be able to have a training plan that they could use in future iterations. So this is time that they were planning on having to allocate, but they needed to be able to figure out how best to hone that time and to have a resource for future use for themselves. That being said, business owners manage competing priorities. And so the way this engagement is structured is to be a longer term engagement so that if business owners have business needs arise, they're able to step away from, the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit, whether for a month or two, and come back to it. And that's something that we ask our advisors to be flexible on while working with a business owner on this. And we'll continue to emphasize this, especially in light of COVID-19. We ask that you be even more flexible and more responsive to day-to-day business needs that may arise for your business owner in thinking about this engagement from a more holistic business lens. Great. Any other questions so far? Okay. So we're going to walk through a brief demo of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit just to give you a sense of what the resource looks like and its overall navigation. Now, should you choose to become a Good Jobs advisor, one of the things that we ask you to do is attend a Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit training webinar. And so during that webinar, we'll be walking you through the toolkit in detail, a deep dive on a specific section of it and how you would navigate the resources within it, a deep dive success story, and then walking you through all the supplemental resources we have. So today's demo will be a little bit more high level for you. This screenshot here is of part of the homepage of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit. And then the link here is below. I'm going to navigate directly to the website. So just bear with me one moment. great. Perfect. So I'm here on the homepage of the Good Jobs, Good Business website. And you can see here we have the messaging throughout the Good Jobs, Good Business website that we are helping the small business owner create jobs that are both good for their employees as well as good for their business. You can see that the main landing page of the toolkit is structured around these 6 areas that we mentioned, everything from benefits like health, retirement, paid time off, to elements like how would I work on employee compensation for my workforce, to employee engagement, to hiring, training, and professional development. If I hover over a given section of the toolkit, I can see how each page is broken down. So every page of the Good Jobs, Good Business toolkit, every section has a set of pages. So every area walks you through an overview page, and this just orients you to what is contained within employee compensation. What do we mean when we are talking about that, and why is it important? Then we have a page called the business case. And what the business case page is doing is helping you and the business owner think through what's the likely ROI that you would be seeing by working on that specific area. So a lot of times it might talk about potential reductions in turnover and different components like that. These will often bring in tools and resources that we've aggregated from different sources. So for example, there's a tool that would help the business owner calculate the cost of turnover and how they might think of it in light of this specific subsection of the toolkit. The How to Get Started page of the toolkit is effectively the How to Implement page. It's where all of the content really lives, or the bulk of the content lives, and it walks the business owner really from A to Z. How would they go about thinking about this, really big issue of employee compensation? The next page, Other Options, exists in several of the sections of the toolkit, particularly the types of sections that are often a financial investment for the business owner, something like raising wages or implementing health benefits or things like that. And it's meant to say that, okay, if you've really thought about it, if you've run a potential model on it, or if you've walked through thinking about the business's finances, and you realize that it's not viable for the business owner to, for example, raise wages at this time, what else might you be able to do that could mimic some of the effects of raising wages or implementing health benefits or something like that, but might be less costly for the business at this time, for example. And then finally, the additional help page offers additional typically nationally based resources for the business owner to look at. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the overview page so that you get a sense of what pages of the toolkit look like. Anytime there's blue text, it means that you are clicking to an external link. And we always have options for you to engage with the material via different modes of resources. So if a business owner would prefer to download or print or email it to themselves, we can do that as well. And then the same subsections are here. So if you wanted to click on that business case subsection, you can go to that from here. And then you also have this same navigation bar that we saw on that home page here for employee compensation, so that they can navigate to it that way. And then here's all the business case content for them to look at. I mentioned that there are success stories throughout the website. So if a business owner wants to read a success story, they can go ahead and click on it through each individual website page. So they can go ahead and click on the success story here and learn about, for example, this co-op grocery store and how they raised entry-level wages. There's also a full success story repository. So here you can see how it's broken out by topics, and I can go to a full success story library by clicking on all success stories there. Not all success stories represent businesses that have worked with PCV or using the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit. It's something we're interested in building out over time, but they all represent businesses that have worked to improve job quality, especially small businesses. And so something we're interested in, tell us your story if you've implemented one of these strategies, or you can just, email us directly, of course. If I go back to the home page, which I can do by clicking just Good Jobs, Good Business here, if I navigated to the bottom of the page, I could have found the Success Stories button right down there. And then I just want to point out a few features of the Good Jobs, Good Business website to wrap things up today. One of them is that we do have a search bar. So if I know that I had wanted to implement, or I had wanted to work on, say, hiring, but I didn't know where to find it, I could search hiring, and it would return to me all the results with hiring. For example, here's a case study that relates to hiring. And maybe I would go and read that and learn about what they did. And then that could bring me back to some tools and resources that I would be interested in. If I'm not sure where to start, this feature helps me think about, okay, maybe I have a question that I'm interested in answering, or I have something that I'm interested in, or I have a goal that I'm interested in, but I don't know exactly how it maps to one of these topic areas. So low-cost ways to make my employees happy. And then if I scroll down here, it returns to me 2 or 3 results that map to different sections of the toolkit that I could go ahead and review and think about, okay, maybe if I worked on one of these areas. So I could go ahead and click on employee engagement and learn about employee engagement and see if that fit with what I was thinking about, or that maybe worked for my business. And then the last thing to point out is we mentioned that the business case for Good Jobs was broken out by each subsection of the toolkit. We also have the overall case for Good Jobs available. I'm going to take a quick pause because I've seen a couple of questions come in and scan them, and then just take a look at them. Great, we will return to these questions. And I'm going to move on to a quick success story. So one of the success stories that I wanted to share with you today is a business that we worked with in PCV's own loan portfolio on the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit, DNA Motor Lab. So PCV has piloted the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit both within PCV's own lending portfolio, pairing these businesses with business advisors, like yourselves from PCV's business advising program, We also have partnerships like the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund partnership that we'll tell you more about today to expand the use of the toolkit to small business owners nationwide, as well as partnerships with workforce development organizations to similarly expand the use of the toolkit. So telling you a little bit about how DNA Motor Lab made use of the Good Jobs, Good Business toolkit. So Rodrigo, owner of DNA Motor Lab, was really interested in helping improve quality of life for his employees so that they felt more engaged in their work and were more productive. He also wanted to improve customer satisfaction because one of the things that happens with, shops like a motorcycle repair shop that he was operating, specifically a really sort of high-end and high-quality shop, is that he was experiencing the fact that there's not a lot of product differentiation that he could offer between himself and his competitors. So he felt like that if he could create a really unique and strong sense of community, that would really help set him apart from both his customers and also help set him apart as a place to work. So that would support employee retention and engagement. So with his advisor, Ryan, Rodrigo and Ryan started, going through the toolkit to think about what areas of the toolkit might support this goal that Rodrigo had and help him improve his, operations overall. By taking this lens of improving employee retention, they decided to invest in Rodrigo's professional development processes that he had at DNA. They worked on two things. First, Rodrigo implemented what he called performance development meetings, which is something that he didn't previously have at the shop. So these performance development meetings would be an opportunity for him to check in with his staff on their improvement opportunities, to celebrate victories, and then also build camaraderie with the employees so that they could really understand what unique value they were bringing to DNA. He also worked on team building by establishing regular staff meetings so that he could touch base with everybody, staff members could air out potential concerns that they have, and then they could all touch base on the projects that they were working on and go over any potential problems, celebrate successes, and really come together. During the weekly staff meetings in particular, Rodrigo could productively highlight areas of improvement that staff members had that were relevant to other staff members. So, for example, one technician was regularly leaving the keys for the bike in the bike, which is a real challenge because staff members were actually responsible for putting the keys back in the key box because staff members regularly are working on different bikes all together. And so if they're leaving the keys in the bike, that creates a problem and they get lost and others can't find them. So by highlighting this as an area of improvement that could be committed to by all staff members, it helped build a shared sense of responsibility. And so staff members saw this potential problem occurring, they could then support their staff member in putting the keys away and creating this shared sense of responsibility. Now, over a year later, the meetings are occurring, and it's helped Rodrigo really feel like he's created a better sense of team and culture at his shop, and he feels like he's able to create a real sense of product differentiation that he's offering. He also, as a really sort of unique piece of his work, customers actually ask if they can come in and volunteer at the shop. So they learn how to repair their own bikes, or they learn how to, sort of make changes that they might want to make to their own bike product. And that's a really unique thing and helps him feel like he's creating, not just offering not just a product and service, but building a community. Great. So at this time, we're going to pause for questions again. And I see a few more have come into the chat box. Or to the Q&A box, excuse me. So the first one is, will this be the first coaching advising experience with PCV for most business owners entering the Good Jobs, Good Business program, or will they have had some other experience with PCV prior to this? For most businesses who are coming in as part of our Entrepreneurs of Color Fund partnership, this will be their first experience with PCV specifically. And today we'll be sharing more about the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund partnership with you in a few slides. For other businesses that you might have the option to be paired with as a Good Jobs, Good Business advisor or a Good Jobs advisor, it's possible that they will have had experience with PCV before. For example, one of PCV's own borrowers may be interested in implementing the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit, and they will have had experience with a business advisor. Sorry, I just read the next question. A better question is, how are these business owners coming into the program? So we'll actually go over this in detail later today, but our partners through the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund partnership recruit the business owners, and we'll touch on this in more detail today. How are you thinking about updating the toolkit for new practices that may be emerging in this time we find ourselves in? For example, talent sharing, helping employees access safety net, thoughtful offboarding, etc. That's a great question. So right now, the toolkit is, no updates have been made to the toolkit. Instead, PCV has compiled a separate list of resources for COVID-19 resilience to support small business owners through this time. And that lives as a separate resource because COVID-19 is in sort of a very active ongoing crisis that we are working to respond to, and no one can see sort of the long-term repercussions of it yet, so we haven't yet updated the toolkit with any of these resources at this time. So one of the things that we will equip you with are those resources for COVID-19 resilience, which is existing as a separate document at this time. Great. Now I'm going to turn it over next to my colleague Daniel to walk us through the Good Jobs Advisor cohort. Daniel?
Awesome. Thank you, Christy. Now that you've seen how the quality jobs work at PCV came to be and got a brief overview of how the Good Jobs, Good Business website works, we'd like to share more about the role of PCV's business advising program and the role of Good Jobs advisors. So as a Good Jobs advisor, we expect that you'll spend time with your small business owner, deciding the most effective means of communication, whether that be through emails, phone calls, video conference, or even in-person visits, when appropriate, of course. But for now, your engagements will be 100% remote. Good Jobs advisors' roles are that of a coach, sounding board, and a thought partner. As Christy mentioned, the needs of every business are different, so it's normal to have lulls in your partnership, as well as times where you'll be engaging more with your mentee. But as a general guideline, you'll spend around 3 to 5 hours per month with your business owner to help them develop a practical plan for using the toolkit, support them in implementing the plan, and connect to check in on progress and next steps. All in all, we ask that you provide your guidance, advice, and tactics to help your business owner improve job quality based on your knowledge of the business, including its challenges, needs, systems, and finances. We also ask that you share progress updates with PCV and our partners. And as a bonus, we'd love for your feedback on your experience using the toolkit, especially ways to improve it to ensure other businesses and advisors benefit. And setting expectations is very important and key to a successful partnership. Small business owners are often strapped for resources and time, especially given the realities of COVID-19. And this partnership is structured to be long-term to account for these unexpected business priorities that may and most likely will take precedent over efforts to improve job quality at this moment. So for the time being, we'd ask that you support these business owners as needed with their other more pressing challenges. And as always, you're welcome to reach out to PCV if you encounter a challenge that you don't feel comfortable with advising on. We'll work with you and your business owner to figure out how to address these challenges and determine the best steps moving forward. And here's a list of resources that we provide to support you in your partnership. Before I dive into the resources provided, I just wanted to note that you are not limited to just these resources. In fact, we'd encourage you to bring your own materials and resources to your partnership, as well as share with us at PCV what resources worked well for you. So first, we have our Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit. And as you saw, this toolkit is where the bulk of our job quality content lives. And we've seen different forms of effective collaboration and pulling from our experience from the Good Jobs, Good Business pilot that we conducted last year. We've seen advisors successfully utilize the toolkit by either using it as their primary resource or working with the toolkit as a jumping off point to structure their engagement, but then also bringing in their own materials and resources to their partnership. Next is our Good Jobs Advisor intranet. And this intranet is an online platform created exclusively for Good Jobs advisors to visit as a one-stop shop for all the resources and documents that will be provided throughout this engagement. You'll find things such as the webinar recordings, our partnership guide, goal setting worksheets, timelines, and more. And once you're a Good Jobs advisor, you'll also be invited to our Good Jobs Slack channel. This is a forum for Good Jobs advisors to connect with one another, build community, and make some friends. We encourage advisors to interact with each other, so feel free to ask questions like, hey, is anyone helping their small business owner provide a stable schedule for their employees? I'd love to hear how you're approaching this. You can also share information that you found valuable by slacking the channel and saying, hey everybody, this is what I just learned. We also want to celebrate successes. So if you and your business owner has successfully implemented something or have had a breakthrough, then let your community know about it. Slack is free to use, so if you've never used Slack before, just go to slack.com to sign up, and from there you'll be able to join our group. Lastly, PCV has compiled a list of small business resources for COVID-19. We know that the effects this crisis is having on small businesses can't be overstated, so we are continually updating our resource list as we learn more. And if you visit our website at pacificcommunityventures.org, the first thing that you'll see is a pop-up of our resources for COVID-19. It will be front and center, so please do share these resources with anyone in your network that you believe would benefit from. Here we have our commonly asked questions. And one of the main questions we get asked is, do I need to read through and be an expert on the entire Good Jobs, Good Business website? And our answer is most certainly not. Typically, the small business owner will choose one specific topic in the toolkit and will dive deep into this section or use the toolkit as a guideline for framing their focus area and setting goals. So it's not necessary to read through the entire toolkit, but we do recommend becoming familiar with the structure and key topics of the toolkit so that you're comfortable with navigating through the website. And of course, if you do not feel comfortable answering any questions about the toolkit to your business owner, PCV is here to help, so please do not hesitate to contact us. And to better understand how to navigate through the toolkit, PCV is hosting Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit training webinars, where we give an in-depth website demo, a deep dive into one of the toolkit sections, and share a Good Jobs, Good Business success story from our pilot program. PCV will continue to publicize these webinar dates to the broader community. However, once you're a part of the cohort, we'll be sure that you're aware of the Toolkit training webinar dates so that you can complete this milestone. And you may ask questions like, what if I can't help a business owner with COVID-19 specific challenges? And we don't expect anyone to be a crisis management expert by any means, but we do ask that you help the business owner to the best of your ability. If you're unable to do or don't feel confident in helping a small business owner on a particular subject, please contact us and we'll offer additional support.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. We'd like to, open it up for another quick pause for questions at this time based on anything Daniel just shared. Okay, folks, feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box. I'm going to continue moving us forward by sharing more detail about our partnership with the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund, which we've, alluded to several times today, and how you can sign up to support small business owners as a Good Jobs advisor via this partnership. As we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar and have shared throughout, we have structured a flexible partnership and remain responsive to changing economic realities for small business owners. And that includes how our advisors work with them. For example, instead of helping a small business owner implement that new career development and training plan for her employees, given economic realities from COVID-19, might you work with her to retain her workforce, given the new conditions, cross-train employees, and teach them new skills so that they can support her in rolling out her new sales channels. With that in mind, we'll go ahead and walk through the specifics of the partnerships. So our partnership with JP Morgan Chase's Entrepreneurs of Color Fund is with 3 CDFIs like PCV to support the implementation of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit, or support small business owners in improving employment practices at 60 small businesses nationwide. While partnership goals may shift slightly due to COVID-19, we still aim to support 60 small businesses through these changing economic conditions while keeping employee health and well-being top of mind. The 3 CDFI partners are across the country. So Detroit Development Fund is based in Detroit, Pursuit, formerly Excelsior Growth Fund, is based in New York, and Working Solutions is in the San Francisco Bay Area. We'll be working with them over the course of about 2 years and have been in partnership for about 9 months, with nearly half of the 60 total businesses recruited so far. The CDFIs recruit the businesses, and then PCV supports their onboarding and matches them with a Good Jobs advisor like yourselves. The way the partnership is structured is that we ask for a few key touch points and commitments across the partnership, and should you choose to participate, we go over this in greater detail through both the partnership kickoff call, which we reference here, as well as we share a partnership guide with you that walks through all the key milestones to make sure that everyone is on the same page. We do once again apologize that this slide is one of those text-heavy ones, but we will share this so that if you are participating, you have this information. First, you'd attend a partnership kickoff call once you've been matched with a small business owner, and this is to make sure everybody's on the same page and has an opportunity to meet each other. Then you and the small business owner meet to work on your project at whatever cadence you feel is appropriate. We've typically seen monthly engagements work well. However, that's something that could certainly change given COVID-19. And as we've mentioned a couple of times throughout today's presentation, there are some times that the engagement is put on pause for a month or 2 while a small business owner needs to work on some other aspect of their business. And that's something that we've certainly seen happen. Finally, we ask for a couple of touch points from you. We'll initiate a couple of progress update emails just to check in on how things are, and we do ask that you do your best to respond to these. And then finally, we ask for 2 more formal learning and feedback calls. These happen twice, as I mentioned, over the course of the engagement, and they're an opportunity for you and the small business owner to join us virtually on the phone and to reflect on what you've done together. We ask you to share successes, share feedback, share areas for growth. Let us know how it's going and what you've done. Great. So I'm sure you're all as excited as George here. So Daniel, why don't you tell them how to sign up?
Okay, so if this partnership sounds exciting to you, then first and foremost, fill out the form that we'll be sending you right after this webinar. Super simple, just fill out your name, contact information, and submit it. From there, we'll know that you're interested in this initiative, and we'll be in touch to match you with your business owner and get your partnership started right away. So just want to take a minute to thank you all for attending our Good Jobs, Good Business overview webinar. We truly appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy day to join us and learn more about this initiative during a time where business advisors are needed now more than ever. We like to wind down this webinar by answering any questions you may have. So if you have a question, please type them into the Q&A box.
Give folks just another minute or 2 to keep typing in any questions that they might have. Great. So one of the questions is, when we send out the presentation deck, can we also share the link to the COVID-19 resources? Yes, we can share it separately. It's also embedded within the presentation deck in the resource page, but we'll make sure that it's sent as well. If folks have any other questions, we do have a couple more minutes remaining. Okay, if there are no more questions at this time, we can go ahead and end a couple minutes early. We will send out the presentation deck, so if you do have any other questions, please go ahead and email us. We will be more than happy to answer them, but more importantly, if this is something that interests you, please sign up via the Google form that we will be sending out. We're really excited to hopefully have all of you sign up to be Good Jobs advisors with us and support small business owners, not only through this initiative long term, but also in the short term, given our changing realities. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and we hope everyone has a pleasant rest of their day. Thank you.